Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. Yes, this is your friend Ursula, and today I've gone galactic. I'm up here in the stratosphere, just enjoying life, thinking about how awesome it's been to share with you some of the galactic astrology knowledge that I've been learning through Julia Balaz and her courses online. In fact, thank you for sharing and subscribing. But also, if you find yourself after listening to so many of these astrology mini readings, if you're interested yourself in learning, Julia does have an Galactic Astrology 101 course. And if you look below in the description, you can use that link and a percentage comes back to support the Ascension Playground. Now, for the brave ones who really just love all things galactic, there is a practitioner's course. And yes, it's a little more expensive, but here's the thing. You get to meet people from around the world. And right now we've got over 220 practitioners learning and studying together. And typically we meet at least once a month in Zoom just to ask questions or learn something new. But today, I want to talk with you a little bit about a free mini reading for a subscriber named Mari. So I keep thinking, Mari, Bobari, Fi, Fofari, Mari. So Mari star, here comes your free mini reading. And you gotta laugh, right? I mean, part of the playground is to remember to be a child again. And that free, whimsical child that just doesn't care if you get it right. There's just so much more about being here now and choosing to laugh. And I think as we move into the galactic, it's not with our minds necessarily that we'll be able to navigate very far, but we can go interdimensionally, multidimensionally, and intradimensionally when we do attune to our heart chakras and try and remember what it's like to be a child again. So remember that saying from Jesus about entering the kingdom of heaven as a child? It's not going to be the rich man with all his stuff. Okay, I'm going to go find this chart. And here we go. So let's just say if you were signing up for a deep dive into your galactic soul records, this is typically the first page that I show. It's as if opening up the galactic Akashic records to understand how your soul has just moved throughout and traveled on a cosmic journey within our universe and sometimes others. So we can see that using Julia Balaz's calculator. All right. And then I like to give this overview that when you go into a deeper dive into your galactic soul records, I always start with Western astrology as a foundation so that before we go galactic, we got to have a little runway because here we are on Earth in the third dimension. We've incarnated as a soul. And so, starting from the Earth's wisdom, whether it's Western or Vedic, it's this idea of connecting ourselves with Mother Earth. And then of course, the next big launch is let's go galactic. Let's look at your most recent lifetime. Let's look at your origin. Where did you start when you came into this system? And then, of course, looking at your life purpose and nodes. And then if the deeper dive even goes further with squares, what's your karmic lessons and trines? What are the gifts you came in with? But the real fun part that I have in doing readings is the summary, because that's the part where we open to channel and we just sit one-on-one with each other in Zoom and we just allow messages to come through. And the affirmation of what's coming through in my body shows up as either goosebumps, shivers, or sometimes I start doing a little, twerking with my head. So I get these electric impulses. So anyway, that's an overview of typically how I like to move forward. And then this idea of how I begin with opening the records is that each of us has incarnated with a soul family. Okay. And typically, soul families have a color vibration that goes with them in each of the lifetimes. Sometimes I'll be the mom, other times I'll play the role as the child. Sometimes I'm the antagonist, and sometimes I'm a protagonist. It's all about energy, right? And so sometimes energy to expand the soul will choose difficult, challenging lifetimes, along with others that were, wow, this was something where I was more receptive of the goodness and the abundance of life. So, looking at the records, all is focused on your natal astrology, that moment of birth. This is why it's key to have the time of birth. We always go by what was written on the birth record. And I know some people do not have a written time. So, those are special. We have to do a little detective work. And how do you figure out the birth time? But the bigger picture is that moment of birth is like a snapshot. And opening up the Galactic Soul records, we can get a sense of where you've been. Okay. So for Mari Mari star, you were born with three key energetic ingredients. So let's say your soul has had many lifetimes, been here, been there, but to keep expanding, sometimes you need to have more complexity. This is what I found to be true in doing readings. But here's what your astrology says. You have a sun, a moon, and ascendant. Okay, so just looking at your sun sign, this is the brightest light typically for your incarnation as Mari Mari star. And you chose to come in as Taurus, the builder. Taurian energy is your light. So, as a builder, it's representing fixed earth. I know what's mine. And I look at it as like a little cottage with a picket fence, and the bull is inside the picket fence. You like the cozy creature comforts, the finest of cheeses, the softest of blankets. It's a personal sign and it carries a feminine energy, so receptivity, the builder. And then we look at the emotional intelligence that you agreed to wear in this lifetime, and that is as Sagittarius. Sagittarius, that is the archer, half man, half horse. And the archetype for this energy is the explorer. Sagittarius carries mutable fire energy. So it's fire that shifts and changes and adapts, right? So fire knows how to assert, whereas earth knows how to ground. So fixed earth does not move. Mutable fire shifts and changes. And so Sagittarian, moon sign in Sagittarius would be my feelings are about helping the greater good. When I think and feel into my inner self, I work with the transpersonal energies. It's not enough to feel good about myself or my social relationships. It's really this inner calling for a greater good. And it carries again a masculine energy, this idea of when it's time to assert, I'll go out there in my feeling sense. So we've got earth and fire, just the two first signs. Now, earth typically likes to pair with water, and fire likes to pair with air. So, just looking at your identity outside and what's inside, here you've challenged yourself with earth and fire. So, sometimes a lot of earth will put out that fire inside your emotions, and sometimes that fire that's mutable will scorch the earth. Okay. Now, the third ingredient is your ascendant. And several thousand years ago, it was the ascendant or rising sign that the ancients valued above all three. So, the ascendant in Leo. This is fixed fire. Remember, we had fixed earth above in Taurus? Well, the way people see you, Mari Mari, and my little puppy is yipping, is fixed fire. like holding this energy, holding the torch still, not running with it, but holding tight. And it is interpersonal. People see you as being able to be social, but you're holding fire. And it's masculine energy that says, I can assert when I want to. And the archetype for Leo is the performer. Don't you like my hair? Don't you like my outfit? So it's fascinating to see how working with these three ingredients, sometimes when we look at the natal wheel, we'll see aspects that will, downplay perhaps the builder or uplift the explorer. But just starting with these three ingredients or three archetypes of the builder, the explorer, and the performer. Okay, I better pause to see what the little puppy wants. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we were talking about the three energetic ingredients that make up Mari Mari star: the builder, the explorer, and the performer. Now, wouldn't it have been nice back when you were a teenager trying to figure out where should I focus my energies going forward out into the world? These archetypal energies, building, exploring, performing, really has a different flavor, let's say, than someone who's supposed to go work in a cubicle. No, I don't see cubicle work here doing very well. A builder wants to move out and create something. Explore, I would just put Sagittarius as exploring even beyond our known world, our known matrix. So let's just call it a galactic explorer. And the performer, working with other people and showing that, okay, when it's time, it's showtime, right? So let's go see how this looks on your astrology wheel. Now, for those of you who are dropping into the Ascension Playground for the first time, this astrology wheel is coming from a program called Astro Seek, SEEK.com. It's a program that Julia Balaz has shared with me that her calculator basically pairs with. So here, look how beautiful and very focused Mari Mari is. I think about Pam Gregory, the astrologer, talking about the idea of sound and frequency and geometry. So when she invited Zach to come channel, this idea of how do we identify the geometry that I always assumed and felt attuned to was our natal chart. So think about taking your natal chart and putting it on your heart chakra. And when you meet people or other beings, this is the light. Those beautiful aspects are basically saying, this is who I am in this incarnation. So we see at the ascendant, there's beautiful Leo. You've got Pluto, the god of the underworld, right at the conjoining your ascendant, Mari Mari. So what that means is others may see you as someone who likes to go deep and explore things under the ground. It's the underworld. It's mining what's below the surface. It's typically something that, this idea of death and rebirth, only to be transmuted now into like the rising phoenix. But it's at the tip of your ascendant. It's conjoined energy. And then we look up at the midheaven, which is a little tipped, and we see your beautiful sun, your Taurian sun. Wow, you just came in as an early Taurus, right? 1 degree, 5 minutes of Taurus. So that would make me inclined. You may feel more sometimes because it's such a new Taurian sun that you might feel more Aries instead of the home body. You may feel like time to go, time to assert. So with these early degrees, sometimes there's a little bit of a blurring of the two signs coming together. And now we go look down below the horizon line and we find your moon that I also highlighted in yellow. And your moon is sitting at 29 degrees, the last degree of Sagittarius, that explorer. And wouldn't you know it, it's very nearby your south node. So some would say a south node with the moon nearby would indicate potentially that you have reincarnated with your mother or whoever was the nurturer in your life in this lifetime. Interesting, right? South node is always where we've come from, but the north node, which is on the axis completely opposite, your north node, Mari, is in this lifetime in the beautiful 11th house of Aquarius, but with a Gemini sign, 23 degrees Gemini. Beautiful. So you see above my head the three keys. We talked about the ascendant, the sun, and the moon. Beautiful. Wouldn't it be fun to help navigate any young person, especially, or someone who's lost, no matter what their age, just to get clarity on what did I sign up for exactly? And why has it been so dark and tough? You know, so knowing thyself, what did I agree to do in this life? Here I've taken little green circles and I've circled your north node and south node. Up above where the green arrow is pointing, that is the north node. And in astroseek.com, you can actually click on fixed stars and it will show up to 30 fixed stars that can be, you can quickly see, oh, what stars are near my major planets. So when we look up at your beautiful sun, which is that round red circle up at the midheaven, it looks like we have the sun near Mirak. So the question is, well, what's Mirak? Where is it in the heavens? I'm asking that rhetorically. I'm not going to answer it, but this is a free mini. So we just start looking around your wheel. I see down below, wow, Jupiter, which is in Libra, has beautiful Arcturus and Spica. Very, very strong signs that Jupiter gets near anything and it expands. So, an expansion of the gifts of Spica and Arcturus. You'll find some information about Spica in some of my earlier YouTube channel listings. So that's how it rolls out. And here I wanted to go a little bit into the North Node is showing up at 21 degree Gemini, 51 minutes in house 11. Mari star. If you were to ask me, where am I to focus my energies? What did I agree to? We always look at the North Node. For you, it may feel more comfortable to stay in the fifth house of joy, self expression, creativity, children, a small stage. And this is metaphoric. But the calling now is to get you out into the world, into that 11th house of sharing your gifts out in the world through your social networks. See how that works? South node feels comfy, but North node in the 11th house, and that's the Aquarian house, the galactic house, that is perhaps more uncomfortable for you to start sharing out in the world. Not just in a little studio, but out in the world. Maybe there's going to be a YouTube channel that you'll create. Whichever way, you'll be blessed and the doors will open when we start working with our North Node. Okay, but why you're really here is to let's see where you've been in the galaxy, right? So this is what's called a basic report. And after plugging in your natal information on galacticastrochart.com, you can see the little information here on the screen. We can see Andromeda, Ursa Minor, Orion. These are the constellations where you either have a conjunction or opposition. These are star families from a constellation perspective. Okay, so look where you have been. Just about every line is filled. It's remarkable. You've been around. We see at least 5 Orion soul connections. So when we see a marker for Orion, we say spiritual warrior potential, whether you're fighting for what we call the light or learning what it's like to fight with the dark, doesn't matter. It's this idea that light and dark coming so the soul can expand. But Orion, spiritual warrior. All right, and then this is the extended report. This is what it looks like. You can get this graph for free for your natal information from this calculator that I've been talking about, galacticastrochart.com. And Mari's beautiful sun in house 10, the 10th house of vocation and service outward. You've got your most recent lifetime before this incarnation as Mari Mari was in Andromeda on a beautiful star named Mirak. Andromeda. Don't you love the Andromedan star seeds? This recent lifetime, the energy is in your field. Andromedans are a collective, almost angelic energy. Okay. They're like our great great grandparents. So the Andromedans, beautiful ninth to 12th dimensional energy, so gorgeous. And what can we say? The Andromeda nature is all about this message of freedom. Freedom is quintessential, especially if it's conjunct and working with your sun line. So even though Taurus is the builder, you have to be able to be free to build what you want and what you feel compelled. You're not like someone who's like, okay, tell me what you want and I'll just go build it. No, you're a builder working with Andromedan energy. You can Google what is it to be an Andromedan star seed, perhaps, and find out what the qualities and traits are about Andromeda. All right, but look at the whole larger picture here now. You see how much Orion is very strong. We've also got the Galactic, Virgo, Boots, fabulous cosmic journeying for you. Now, on this page, we're looking at the origin story for your soul. Where did you first begin? You know, we only do this timeline kind of play in 3D and 4D. When we get into the fifth dimension and above, you know, the timeline doesn't really work. We think more in quantum. We think of all things happening at once. But since we're still in 3D, we're looking at origin on the timeline. So we look and we see there's a conjunction in Orion on a star named Rigel. And it's working with your 11th house. Remember, this is the one out in the world, your social networks in Gemini, and it is conjoining your Uranus. Now, Uranus and the 11th house, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. So there are going to be some beautiful sudden downloads. You know, when you start moving again with your North Node that wants to celebrate itself within the 11th house. So I'm going to end here by showing you this beautiful star constellation chart. It's, you know, this is how we're looking at the broader picture of where have you been? There's currently 88 named constellations in our heavens. And my goodness, Julia Balaz and her calculator will continue to expand. She began with the strongest lights, the Bohemian stars, and is adding more stars and galactic points as the calculator, like a living being, grows and evolves as we keep asking her more questions. Again, let me stop sharing. If this information is at all interesting to you, do consider joining us in the Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioners course. I have information and an affiliate link below in the description. It's time. So many of us are feeling that this galactic consciousness is now here. So whatever we've chosen as a, let's say, vocation, this galactic consciousness is coming into the field, and so many of us are feeling it. So we see the James Webb Telescope images. We start learning about, oh, what was that experience? Because a lot of our clairs, clairsentience, our auditory, you know, so our third eye is waking up for some of us. Our dreams are getting a little like, well, where were we? Were we astral traveling, or what just happened in that dream? And some people are even able to go back into the same dream the next night and coordinate and be aware that they're dreaming. It's fascinating as the veil thins, how some of our multidimensional organs are coming online. Not to be afraid, it's just these are things that have been dormant within us. So let me go through. Clair vision is when you can see things. Clair audience is when you start hearing things. Clair sentience is when you start feeling things. I get a lot of feely, like I feel the goosebumps. And there's something called clair something or other where you just know. Clear knowingness. Anyway, I'm probably making myself a little too goofy right now, but I just want to say, Mari Star, thank you so much. What an honor to be able to take a look at your Galactic Soul records. So inspiring to see someone who's taken the door and opened it to say, I want to learn more. Because after all, at the end of our ride here on the earth plane, at the end of the ride, we're going to be asked, well, how was it? And then secondly, we'll be asked, and do you want to go on the ride again? Thank you for joining me on the Ascension Playground. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.